Hey everybody, well, old Blue Accord back, and I'm working in the garage again, and what we're working on is the hard start video on the Scout, and we verified that the fuel got contaminated because I didn't have the regular gas tank sealed very well, and the water got all in there. And then we verified that the vehicle will start if you pour gas down the carburetor, so we know that our spark's good, and you get good clean fuel, you'll probably get it to run. So went ahead and dug into the fuel lines and the fuel filter. So between the fuel pump and the carburetor is a filter, and I went ahead and used this. I had not used this in a long ever, and I had this laying around, and it's a metal canister, and then it takes this style filter, and I call this. This is like a GM style. I believe that they'd put these inside right in before the carburetor. They're pretty easy to find. I should have a spare, but I don't. But anyway, as you can see, yeah, that's what happens when you this is all neglect. I mean, look at all that rust. This is just neglectful. Like, got a lot of water in the fuel. Let it sit, and that fuel filter had come apart. The end cap. There's a little bypass spring in there. It's pretty rusty in there. Well, okay, so we know that we're probably clogging fuel. And then also I noticed in my install is that it is actually mounted. And if you can see, the line is pretty kinked. So it's kind of actually mounted like that. So over age, now I did run a screwdriver through there and it's clean. But over time, that in age, and you can see it's like even stressed the rubber right there. So probably not getting good full fuel flow anyway. But yeah, I tried that one, and what I normally do anyway is I normally use the plastic style. Now a lot of guys gripe about these being dangerous and you'll blow your vehicle up. You have to be careful where you put them. I think you don't want to put it right on your header, obviously. But the nicest about them is it's a visual indication that this has happened. So if I had seen by looking that the filter looked like that, I would have stopped and not even tried to start the vehicle. And now I probably got my carburetor all crudded up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. I had a spare right there. And then a lot of people guys would, you're kind of frustrated about getting a vehicle to start already. So they just bypass all this and do a direct line. And you've already clogged up a bunch of stuff. You probably don't want to just keep doing that. So just try to take a little patience. And I got another fuel filter I'm going to put on there. Fresh piece of line. I know I have good gas in the tank, right? We've got pretty good gas in the tank, and now we need to verify that the fuel pump is still running. So what I've done with on the Scout is all these lines are unhooked. I'm going to put a glass jar on the output of the fuel filter. I'm going to crank it a few times and see what we get. So probably what I'll do here is I'll just go ahead and pause the video real quick, and we'll go over to the Scout, and we'll give it a few good cranks and see what's happening. I've got the fire extinguisher set up. Always have a fire extinguisher when you're messing around with gasoline. I'm going to pull the wire so there won't be any spark at the coil, so there shouldn't be any chance of ignition, and just do a little cranking and see what we got coming out of the fuel pump. Hopefully we didn't damage the fuel pump with all this crud, but we're going to find out. I'm going to pause the video. Thanks a lot. Alright, and we're all set with the Scout. Now, like I said, got the good battery. I went ahead and unhooked the orange wire that goes to the positive coil, so we won't have any spark. You can do that on Chryslers. Took the jumper wire out, and actually I made me a new jumper wire finally. So should have no spark. Nice hard cranking. Now I just cranked it a second. I saw what's happening. It's not good, but we'll do a little more cranking just for the show, and then we'll go look at our. And I put a jar to catch. That should be plenty. And we'll go around the other side. And again, I'm just using the clean jug, same plastic tube and new from the garage. And I went ahead and used the glass jar. Probably should always use a glass jar with fuel. And ooh, I don't know if you can see that or how well you can see that. Yeah, that's a bunch of crud. Nasty. It's mostly water, it appears to be. Let's see if we can see it here. Oh boy. Yeah, so again, did it to myself. So probably ruined the fuel pump. Look at all that sediment in there. Let's see. Yeah, look at all that sediment in there. That was just a little bit of cranking. So yeah, neglect. Got some junk in the suction line, obviously. So I've got a short route right here, but even maybe that plastic line going, or that rubber line going to the fuel pump, I might just change that out fresh. Just freshen everything up, bite the bullet, because that, you can see there's some gas in there, but there's also a bunch of brown. I don't even know what that is. And that's coming out of the fuel pump, so it's probably ruined the diaphragm. I may crank on it a little bit more and just see if I can flush that out, but I think it's new fuel pump time. Also, cranking like that, you should get way more than an ounce of fuel. That's really terrible. I guess we can crank a little bit more, but obviously, yep. And so it's just neglect. And we'll just go back, as I walk around, we'll go back through. So what happens with this tank is I mounted it to the top of the top here, and then I do sometimes have this plastic thing in here, but the top doesn't seal that good. I think is what happened. And one time we got a pretty bad storm, this all blew off, and then water was just piled on there. And you can look in the tank and see water in your fuel. It's pretty easy, just like you can see in that jar. So probably need to blow this line out at the very least if I do hook this back up. I'm really thinking about just abandoning this tank for now. The inside doesn't look bad, but it needs all the fuel taken out of it. Probably could do that. And that's why I use plastic line, because I really internationally use this originally, but you don't get rust or corrosion so much like you would in a metal line. So I might have got lucky there with just maybe blowing it out. But pretty frustrating. But like I said, it's my own fault. Not really taking care of the vehicle. It sits outside. Let's go ahead and just crank a little bit more. See if we can get it. And another thing too, as I crank, if you look right in there, the plastic line, it's wiggling a little. So that means you are getting some siphoning. Not much, but you're getting some siphoning effect. But just because it is drawing fuel doesn't mean diaphragms. Well, we got some more fuel in there. You know what? Some is spilling out because I don't have the jar good, but that's just horrible. Yeah, I don't even know what that black stuff is in there. I don't know. And that might be a good cause to put an extra fuel filter before your pump. But I think that fuel pump shot. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks a lot for looking. I appreciate it. That's the hard start number 3 update. Thanks, like and subscribe. Old Blue Cord out.